Hey, this is Ari. I recently sat down with brain health expert and functional neurologist, Dr. Titus Chu. We had an epic conversation on the podcast, and I wanted to share this little clip with you from that podcast and also encourage you to click the link below, check out the full episode. Lots of value in there, so enjoy this little clip.
Yeah, so neural networks are super cool. It's what it is, and I love how you use that kind of three-tier system to just kind of navigate through the chaos sometimes of all this stuff, right? The information. So for me, when I look at brain health, I also use a three-pillar approach, so meaning when it comes to brain health, three pillars need to be intact. The first pillar is the physical brain. The second is the chemical brain. And finally, the third is the emotional brain. So what I mean by that, the physical brain is what I mean by that is the actual brain cells that comprises the volume of our brain, right? So you have these brain cells that communicate with one another in these vast communication networks we call neural networks. And what I was alluding to earlier, Ari, when I was talking about depending on where the root causes in your brain, you might experience mental fatigue or you might experience motion sickness. That's neural networks, right? Because these neural networks, and we have, countless different types of neural networks, but what they do is they allow our experiences. So you have neural networks to be able to sit and analyze information. That's part of what we call the central executive network, part of the prefrontal cortex and other areas of the nervous system, right? You have neural networks that allow us to, like I said earlier, to sit in a car and be able to drive around without feeling nauseous. That's related to what we call the vestibular system, right? From the inner ear all the way into this deeper part we call the parietal insular vestibular cortex. My point is these communication pathways, they allow for all of our experiences. We have the gut-brain neural, or the brain-gut rather, neural networks, the areas of the nervous system like the insular cortex, as well as the brainstem, so on and so forth, and the vagus nerve, right? And communicating with the enteric nervous system, that's a brain-gut neural network, how the nervous system controls gut function or modulates it, right? So that's what neural networks are, and that's why they're so important. They really allow us to experience life, right? And to function. And again, not only just in terms of mental cognitive processes, but physical processes, emotional processes, autonomic processes, everything, right? Digestive, etc. Mm-hmm. And so that's the physical pillar of brain health. It's these neural networks. And that's what I find to be really the missing piece in a lot of approaches to brain health, right? Because a lot of people look at when we talk about brain health, and this is already cutting edge, by the way, it's like talking about how the gut can impact brain health. And so things like the microbiome and all these different postbiotic substances that communicate with the brain, etc., they could influence brain health, but that's the chemical pillar of brain health, right? And that's what I mean by the chemical pillars, the neurochemistry. And so things like gut, things like mitochondria, things like hormones, toxins, blood sugar, etc., those could influence our brain health but through the chemical route. And I think a lot of people are kind of, even though this is really cutting edge, I think you and your audience, you're really privy to that, right? It's because it's exciting stuff, right? But like I said, in addition, the brain is unique though, in the sense that not only does it require nutrients and oxygen, and it needs to avoid toxins and excessive inflammation, it also needs stimulation and activation, right? How? Through those five senses that I talked about before. Actually, there's more than five. There's the sense of interoception, there's a sense of balance and vibration, so on and so forth. But the point is, through our senses, we can actually target these neural networks, aka the physical brain, and rewire areas that have been injured, right? And so that's the cool thing about the physical pillar of brain health is it really looks at this under-recognized path to healing specifically the nervous system. And then finally, in that three-pillar model is the emotional brain. And yeah, that refers to our mindset, our beliefs. I mean, research shows that, I saw this research article somewhat recently, they found that repetitive negative thinking increase their risk for Alzheimer's. Like that was the research article. So I was looking at this kind of soft science of, psychology, but then like linking it with like, man, you have these repetitive negative thought patterns over time, it could increase your chance for Alzheimer's. Right. So yeah, so the emotional pillar is really important because it looks at mindset and beliefs we have about ourselves and our ability to heal, right? Beliefs we have about others in the world around us. And then through those beliefs, that's how we then develop these wellness rituals and practices that can either support our health or not, right? Everything you were talking about earlier in your tier, that first tier, right? The environmental things that we actually have control over, right? But sometimes, depending on our mindset, depending on how conscious we are, maybe we don't, right? So there you have it. Yeah. So that's the 3-pillar approach that I found to brain health. And specifically, the physical pillar refers to those neural networks that we described.
Hey, this is Ari. I hope you enjoyed this video. And one more thing before you go. Actually, 2 more things. One is if you enjoyed this particular little clip, the link to the full-length podcast is in the description down below. So make sure to check that out. Also, one more thing. Let me ask you a question. What if I could show you how to double your energy levels and dramatically improve your brain function, reducing your anxiety and depression to a degree on par with antidepressant drugs, but without the side effects? Sound pretty interesting? Well, there are, in fact, numerous compounds that can do this, that have been shown to do this. And I'll take you through just a few of these very briefly. One of them is rhodiola rosea. And this has been shown in studies, rhodiola rosea extract, in people with stress-related fatigue and exhaustion to cut their levels of fatigue and brain fog in half in less than a month. Just this one compound. There's another compound in my formula Energenesis called NT factor phospholipids that's been shown to help repair mitochondrial membranes and mitochondrial health to the level of healthy 29-year-olds, taking people with deteriorated mitochondria who are over the age of 65, restoring it to the level of healthy 29-year-olds. And that has been shown in numerous studies in various types of chronic fatigue, aging-associated chronic fatigue, obesity-related chronic fatigue syndrome, to increase energy levels by 30 to 45% in the span of 4 to 12 weeks, depending on the specific study. So dramatic improvements in a very, very short period of time. 2 more compounds that are amazing, I highly recommend, that are in my formula Ultra Brain, along with rhodiola rosea. Saffron extract. This has been shown to increase levels of, improve your mood, I should say, and decrease levels of depression on par with fluoxetine, which is Prozac. And not only that, but with fewer side effects. It's much safer and much less likely to cause negative effects than antidepressant drugs are. Acetyl L-carnitine is another compound that's been shown to dramatically improve brain health in older adults. It also improves energy levels in older adults with chronic fatigue by between 40 to 50% in just the span of 2 to 4 months. And the last thing I'll mention here is acetyl L-carnitine has also been compared to antidepressant drugs and been shown, like saffron, to be as effective as antidepressant drugs in combating depression, but without the harmful side effects that so often occur with the drugs. So this is just a small sampling of the over 35 compounds that are in my formulas, Energenesis and Ultra Brain, that are all proven to dramatically improve energy levels, mitochondrial health, and brain health, and much, much more. And I highly recommend that you go check these out. If you're struggling with depression or anxiety or brain fog, if you're struggling with stress-related exhaustion and burnout, if you're struggling with chronic fatigue, go check out these formulas, give them a shot. I promise you are going to be blown away by the results. And like I said, the science has already proven that these things work. So you don't have to just take my word for it. There's lots of research to support that, and I'll even link to some of that research down below so you can verify everything that I just said for yourself. So the links to those studies will be in the description for this video down below. So check them out. Check out the formulas on the energyblueprint.com. Again, Energenesis is the mitochondrial formula, and Ultra Brain is our brain formula. Check them out, try them out, and I think you're going to be blown away by the results. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.